Just gonna go side onto you. Yeah.
Side on.
I got a better side profile. All right, it's Nick and Tom, South China Morning Post, SCMP Martial Arts. It's time for our press conference here, the Mall of Asia Arena. Tom, how was that fight? 50K bonus for you. You feeling good?
Better than ever, It's exactly the way I expected it to go. Nobody stands a chance against me. Yeah. What can I say?
We're just joking, guys. We're actually doing a recap of one on Prime Video 5, which just finished about an hour and a half ago, maybe. Not so sure. Bit of a stunning finale, to be honest. DeRidder getting knocked out badly by Anatoly Malikin just before the end of the first round. Malikin landed a few shots after I think DeRidder was already done. Bit of a late stoppage, Tom, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of clear where that was going within the first minute or so of the fight, right? DeRidder was shooting for takedowns, and Malikin just wasn't moving. Normally, when you see a guy sprawl on a takedown, try to stop a takedown, there's at least, they move back a little bit, but Malikin was just not budging, and it was clear the takedowns were coming. Then he started landing, and he was landing clean over and over and over again. And I think by the third or fourth punch, DeRidder was in a seriously compromised position. So anything after that, I think, was kind of unnecessary. Of course, you can't just stop the fight at that point. But he took just a horrible beating towards the end there. And I think given what had happened already in the round, that could have been stopped a lot earlier.
Could have been, yeah. It's a bit of a blow for RDR. The man has built his reputation on supreme self-confidence. Middleweight champ. He was the light heavyweight champ. He's now lost that belt to Anatoly Malikin, who we'll get to in a minute. But I think that really puts paid to DeRidder's heavyweight dreams, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to. The problem was that he looked like he wasn't as strong as Malikin, and then on top of that, he was clearly not as fast. He was clearly not as good of a striker, and I say that with full respect for DeRidder. Everyone knows we love this guy. He's been great to us over the years, and we'll continue to give him press whenever we can. But yeah, it was just obvious there was a gulf in terms of power, in terms of speed, in terms of their stand-up ability. He just wasn't on Malikin's level tonight, and I think it just takes all credence away from him potentially fighting at heavyweight.
Yeah, let's not take anything away from Malikin either. That guy, as Chatri said, Chatri thinks he's the best heavyweight on the planet. I know he's a promoter. He's going to say that. Likened him to Mike Tyson. But no shame for DeRidder, taking this fight. I think, you got to give him props. Not many people want to fight Malikin. We've seen Bulla, get out of that fight a couple of times. I'm not saying he's ducking him, but, that no one's lining up to face this man, are they? And for good reason.
No, he's terrifying, and he has that one thing that I think makes a heavyweight truly dangerous, and that's speed. Speed kills in the heavyweight division. That's why Cain Velasquez was so great in the UFC. It's part of the reason why Francis Ngannou is great. If you're fast at heavyweight and you can hit guys before they hit you, that matters, because everyone has power. If you can set yourself aside by punching faster, by kicking faster, you have a real leg up on people, and he's just ridiculously fast for a big guy. And as I was sort of saying before, you expect the guy coming up a weight class, you expect the smaller, more slender guy to be faster, but DeRidder was clearly slower. Malikin is a different animal in this division right now, and I really don't see anyone in one beating him.
Yeah, we'll come on to Malikin very soon. Scary scenes as well at the end. Stretcher for DeRidder. Chatri was just saying here in his press conference a little earlier that when DeRidder came to, he was trying to single leg the doctor, I think, or the officials, and the stretcher was out. There was an oxygen mask at one point. He looked like he couldn't get on his feet. He was trying to. We saw right in front of the cage we were. I hope he's okay. That was your first thought, I'm sure.
Yeah, and I was even thinking about it before the stoppage. I don't want to act like I knew what was going to happen, but once I saw that the takedowns were materializing, I started to think this is going to get really ugly for him, because Malikin was hitting him. He wasn't just stopping the takedowns, he was punishing him for the failed takedown attempts. And DeRidder was bleeding within the first, minute and a half of that fight, and looked fairly bewildered, and again, I say that with respect for him, but it seemed like he knew he was in trouble in there. And then by the end, yeah, he was on the ground. They had to bring in the stretcher. I was sitting circle side for that one, just maybe 20 feet away. And so I couldn't see exactly what was happening. There was a lot of people around him, but it was clear they were having a hard time getting him onto the stretcher. And I think part of the problem was that he was still fighting a little bit. He was confused. It seemed like he was in a lot of discomfort, maybe sort of like writhing around. They were having a really hard time getting him out of the cage. It was a worrying scene for sure.
Yeah, we hope he's okay. He'll have to take some time off now, but what would you do next for DeRidder? I think, should we just stick in middleweight, stop trying to be champ, triple champ. He's still, I think, by far the best middleweight in one, and could really give any middleweight in the world a run for their money. Should he just focus on his true division now?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the obvious option, right? I regard him very highly in that division. I think he could beat most middleweights in the world, many middleweights in the world. Certainly in one, he's the man at that division. I think anything else is a bad idea for him, except for, if he wants to do some submission grappling matches and stuff, by all means. But I think in terms of MMA, stick to that division because you're just going to run into trouble against bigger guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, like you say, we got a lot of love for DeRidder, RDR, great fighter, great man, great family man. I hope he's okay. But also a great family man is Anatoly Malikin, and we got to pay props to him. I was kind of, it's one of those tough fights. I like both guys stylistically and as people. I didn't really know how it was going to go down. I think we knew there would be two outcomes. Either RDR was just going to take him down quickly, strangle him, or Malikin was going to do what he did. But yes, Malikin is the one with his hand raised, and what a performance. He did get a bonus, right? And well-deserved. Just unbelievable from him.
Yeah, I think he got 2 bonuses, right? Yeah, he got the double bonus. I don't know why exactly. I guess Chatri just really liked that performance, but I mean, fair enough. It was totally lopsided. And we talk about this, like it's a 2-outcome fight, DeRidder choking him out or Malikin knocking him out. But I think either way, people expected some kind of competitive action, and there just wasn't any. DeRidder had no answer for him in there. And Malikin really, I think, set himself apart from everybody above light heavyweight. Yeah,
well, Malikin now, he just came into this room just off to the left here, screaming Arjan Bular's name, calling him chicken. And I asked him in the press conference, what's next? And he told me Arjan Bular doesn't deserve to be in one championship. He is weak. Tom, what do you think? Are we going to see this fight eventually? And would Arjan be better advice to keep getting out of this fight, because that is a tough matchup for anyone. I don't see how Arjan can beat this man. I don't see how anyone in one championship can beat this man. You did mention Buchecha, didn't you? And Anatoly said he would like to fight Buchecha, but how do you see that going against Arjan if that does happen?
Yeah, I mean, Arjan, he's clearly a good heavyweight. He's getting a worse and worse rap every time, with each month that he doesn't fight. And I think people are sort of forgetting the fact that he did beat Brandon. He stopped him. He's 2-0 in one championship. He had some wins in the UFC. He's a good fighter. Let's not get crazy. You know what I mean? He's a serviceable heavyweight, but just in terms of the matchup with Malikin, I mean, where are his advantages? I think Malikin is probably as good, if not a better wrestler. In terms of power and speed, striking ability, he's leagues ahead of Bular. Bular may have a cardio advantage, but I just don't see that mattering in a fight like that because Malikin is getting these guys out of there so quickly. But at this stage, Bular has his back against the wall. He has to know it. The whole world is calling on him to fight, especially now that Malikin has won this title. He has no other option but to take this fight. It's take this fight or abandon the belt and honestly run for the hills. Yeah.
And it sort of looks like, I don't want to put anyone's name to this, but maybe they could combine this. They've got 2 champions now who are light heavyweight champs and heavyweight champs. Roman Kriklia in kickboxing, Anatoly Malikin in MMA. Do you think maybe we could see them abolishing one of those divisions in each sport here and just having one heavyweight champion or whatever it is? I mean, maybe the kickboxing, you could argue the light heavyweight is more competitive. I'm not entirely sure. Kickboxing's not my forte, but it looks like in one heavyweight is way more stacked. They don't have any light heavyweights, to be honest. I can't think of really any off the top of my head. And do you think they may just make Malikin the combined champ of the 2 divisions?
Yeah, I don't know if they actually would do that just because of the optics. It's sort of doing that implies that you have 2 weak divisions that need to be combined into one strong division. But let's get real. I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. Just get rid of the light heavyweight division, have a heavyweight division for everyone over 205 or 225 or whatever they decide. And that way you have 2 divisions worth of talent. I mean, there's no point in having a light heavyweight title right now. Who is Anatoly going to defend his title against, right? I mean, it just doesn't make a ton of sense. Whereas at heavyweight, there's a bit of a queue forming now. You've got Buchecha, of course, as we talked about. The winner of this Brandon Vera and Amir Ali Akbari fight tonight is going to be right there. So I say they just mush those 2 divisions together. I think that would be a great idea, but I don't really see it happening.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I think maybe they can come up with some new name for it or something in between, but there's just no point having light heavyweight. The only cool thing is that Malikin's got 2 belts. The optics do look good on that. But let's talk about the other stuff. There was a few other things on this card. Overall, I wasn't too thrilled by the card, but I think the finish has kind of given it some buzz now, and people will be talking about it. But before that main event, I just felt a little bit underwhelmed. Obviously, we lost some fights going into it. We lost Janet and Alicia, which would have been the co-main event. Before that, we lost Superbon and Chingas, which would have been the co-main event. So Cade Rotolo stepped up and filled in as the main event against Mateus Gabriel. But that wasn't the most thrilling match either. Cade was trying his best, I think we could say, to get a sub. Didn't have the most willing dance partner. He seemed to hint at that. But he got the win deservedly. And then, it is what it is. Grappling, how do you feel? Is Grappling still struggling to get that kind of hold on One Championship fans, or just you as a fan outside of your media duty? What do you think? Are you excited to see it in there?
Yeah, I mean, I think Cade and Ty are what is going to make or break Grappling in one, honestly. Mikey's great too, obviously, but Cade and Ty are they're really exciting as far as grapplers go. It seems like they're legitimately always chasing the finish. I mean, Cade did that crazy flip into like a wrist lock or ankle lock or whatever that was today. Like he's trying to make crazy things happen in there, and his brother's doing the same thing. But like they've said so many times this week, it takes 2 to tango, right? Yeah. So if you get an opponent who's just trying to guard pull or play a conservative game, the results, despite their best efforts, can be kind of a slow fight. But I'm not ready to give up on the grappling stuff yet. I think there's some real potential for entertainment here. If they can start building divisions, building stars, get some nice rivals for these brothers, that would help. I think there's hope. But yeah, certainly, on a few of these cards, the grappling matches have been sort of like the slower parts. But they have the chops, I think, to bring some interest to it.
Yeah, Ty also performed tonight. He had a brilliant sub arm triangle against former MMA featherweight champion Murat Gafarov. I incorrectly asked Cade about calling out René DeRidder in the press conference. I clearly haven't had enough sleep this week or enough coffee today. It was Ty Rotolo who called out René DeRidder. This was before the main event, though. So, yeah, he's obviously... DeRidder's going to take some time off, but is that something you'd like to see? DeRidder against Ty Rotolo, that could be a fun attraction.
Yeah, it's a little bit weird. I mean, DeRidder's way, way bigger, but I think actually that might make some sense for both guys at this point because, DeRidder clearly just took a heinous beating and needs a little bit of downtime. Would probably do well not being punched in the face for a while. He took enough of those tonight. So a grappling match next might be a good option for him, and that also gives time for a new middleweight title challenger to really assert themselves. And then on the flip side, Ty has looked so good and won, but the struggle there is finding good challenges for him. But a bigger guy who's also a BJJ black belt who's made a habit of submitting people in MMA, kind of a cool challenge, right? I think, I don't know, I honestly don't know how that would go. I mean, Ty is obviously the superior grappler on paper, but the size disadvantage would make things interesting, certainly. So I say, yeah, why not do that?
Yeah, I'd be up for that. A few other things to talk about quickly on the card. I think most notably... Soldic, yeah. Sorry, how does that escape my mind? Wow, a lot of hype coming in for this fight, right? Roberto Soldic and Murad Ramzanov. It was over in a couple minutes. Got a really bad low blow from Ramzanov to the groin of Soldic. It was tough, and then Herb Dean waved it off. He tried. Soldic tried his best, but he was in so much pain. A real what we call damp squib. I don't know if you have that phrase in Canada.
No, we do not.
Yeah, trying to think what it might be. Yeah, just disappointing ending to something that had a lot of promise. Right, Soldic. We were all looking forward to seeing how he's going to do, and how can you deal with that when that happens, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really offer a hot take or a cold take or anything on this, right? It's just a shitty thing, a sucky thing, excuse me, that happens. These things happen in MMA. I don't know what else to say. Sometimes, if we're lucky, it happens in a fight that doesn't matter that much, just on the undercard. I mean, it sucks no matter when it happens, but just so happened that this afternoon it happened in a fight that a lot of people were really excited for, and that was, I think, really going to, no matter who won that fight, if somebody won decisively, we'd have a real serious title fight on our hands with Christian Lee, and he may even be an underdog against either guy, depending on how that one went. But here we are now with, it's like nothing happened, right? I mean, Ramazanov looked pretty good. He had a takedown, but it was over before we really got to see much from either guy. So I hope they. I don't know if I want a rematch. I was kind of complaining about this fight beforehand because it kills off a contender. Perfect world, I say, give Murad the title shot. He deserved it already anyway. He was 3-0-1, and then just have Roberto fight somebody else in the meantime. Maybe get that first W and fight the winner.
They kind of joked, didn't they, about maybe doing it tonight on the 164 card, but
I wouldn't put it past them, man. I wouldn't, honestly.
We'll see if Roberto can recover. But yeah, that Chatri did say that Roberto had a hard foam cup, which was the problem, and he was surprised. I'm not an expert on cups, so apparently it wasn't. We had a bit of an issue with the cups. John Lineker seemed to have one that shattered quite easily. Is it their opponent's knees or is it the material? I don't know, but
it's the material.
Yeah, the material, maybe not the right material, but there we go. It happened. And then other than that, I guess we had Rug won, not the best match. Beat Jasur. Lowenthal Nanas beat Dyson Park, again, not the best match. A lot of decisions tonight. Jackie Buntan got a good decision over Amber Kitchen. Yeah, not the most thrilling card. I guess we should give some props to Denise Zamboanga, the opener tonight. That was really fun, beating Lin Hashin, split decision. Right decision, I think.
Yeah, definitely, I think the right decision. Lin had some good moments. I mean, she stung Denise really badly in the first round there. That was an interesting first round because Denise right away was super aggressive on the feet. It feels like so long ago at this point that they fought. It feels like it was like 2 days ago. But yeah, I remember thinking right away, like, kind of a bold strategy from Denise, being this aggressive on the feet against somebody like Lin, who's competed in kickboxing. And Lin caught her with a couple like counter hooks. I can't remember what it was, but stung her with something right at the beginning. And I was like, ooh, this could be bad for Denise. But it turned out to work. She was aggressive. Her hands looked a lot better. And she didn't really even need to use her grappling, which was kind of amazing, honestly. So yeah, hats off to her. I'm ready to give her a huge fight next if I'm Matt Hume in the competition team. I think the Stamp fight is perfect.
Yeah, perfect. I'm with that. I think the only other thing to mention, we need to wrap this up. Edson Marquez knocking out Edward Folayang, got a 50K bonus. Edward got straight to his feet, to his credit, but it was a faceplant KO, and those are never good. Chatri did say he thought it was early, but he also said, what did he say about Edward? About he needs to consider fighting different people. He's at the tail end of his career. Taking on young, hungry lions, not the best, was it? He was looking... I felt he was coming into the fight a bit more, but I thought this was going to happen. I thought Marquez was going to win, and spectacular finish, to be fair. You had no complaints, though, I think.
No, Edward's one of my guys. He's one of the first one championship fighters I ever interviewed, and I've interviewed him probably a dozen times over the years, several times in person. I feel like, you get to know some of these guys. He's a great guy for sure, and he has been a great fighter, but certainly I think he's nearing the end of the road. And as for the stoppage, I mean, I don't want to accuse any of the wonderful Filipino people here of bias or, false hope or anything like that, but I have a pretty hard and fast rule about face planting. If you get hit hard enough that your body short circuits and you smash face first down onto the canvas, I don't care how fast you get back up, that fight should be called. We don't need these guys taking any more damage, and especially a guy like Edward who's been knocked out before and has taken some beatings recently. So I don't know what's next for him, but
I think they called it the elephant in the room here. I don't think it was. No, I think
the elephant in the room was the Soldich fight, man. In my opinion. Yeah.
Well, anyway, that about does it. We're gonna have another card here quite soon, so we want to get some food in at Chili's, off to Chili's where we've set up camp the last few days. Get some scran, and we'll be back to do it all again for you. So will the Fight Companion lads, Jake and JHK. And I think they'll have Michael Owens with them as well. I'm not sure about my man MMA Ecosystem as well. Check it out. He jumped in for the Prime Video 5 card. Go follow MMA Ecosystem on Instagram, Twitter. My man Chris, very nice guy. But that about does it for us. Yeah, check out the Fight Companion. Come back to us for our post-fight press conferences and interviews. Or you can go to scmp.com/martial arts. We'll have a live blog with Tom. Tom will be running most of that. Updates for every fight. everything you need. I'll be floating around as well, helping out with the blog and doing some interviews. So will Tom. It's all go. It's not time to rest, baby. We'll be here till 2 a.m. I think. Hopefully not, but could be a long night.
It could be, but we do have an after party to get to, don't we?
True,
Right?
yeah.
We gotta work. What is it? Work smarter, not harder tonight.
Yeah, you'll see us in the corner of the club with the laptops, uploading videos and cursing Wi-Fi and things like that. But anyway, that'll do it for now. Keep it on SCMP Martial Arts. Thank you, everyone. Where's the button? Did you press it?